German Expressionism is a very distinctive style that rose from Germany around the First World War. Influenced by the tragedies and horrors that surrounded people in the beginning of the 20th century, German Expressionist films were known for their detailed and intriguing sets, their interesting camera angles, and their intense expressionistic lighting. Films from this time have influenced films since then, including Charles Laughton's 1955 thriller film, The Night of the Hunter. While this was Laughton's first film he directed, he was no stranger to film. He was a well-known actor, even winning an Academy Award in 1933 for his work in The Private Life of Henry VIII. However, because the film was not received well critically or financially, The Night of the Hunter was the only film Laughton ever directed. Laughton himself served in the First World War, so it's no surprise that his film would be influenced by German Expressionist films. The Night of the Hunter follows a manipulative, sadistic serial killer/preacher who targets women. After he learns of a large fortune, he sets his sight on a young widow and her 2 children. A story full of suspense and drama, many scenes utilize intense lighting and blocking in order to increase the tension. One scene that uses cinematography to intensify the suspense is probably the most recognizable scene from the film, the showdown between Lillian Gish's Rachel Cooper and Robert Mitchum's Reverend Harry Powell. However, a lesser-known scene that also uses these elements and has a lot of tension in it is when Powell forces the children to tell him where the money is hidden.
All right, boy, where's the money?
In the cellar, buried under a stone in the floor.
First of all, we can see the distinct difference between how the kitchen is lit versus how the basement is lit. The kitchen is full of light, and when Powell moves around in the space, he casts a large, prominent shadow over everything, including the children. Even in the kitchen, Powell is shrouded in darkness, which leaves the audience questioning what he may be capable of. This shows up later in the basement, where we can see the children, but Powell is completely dark and almost blends into the background. This way of lighting clearly puts the characters in the scene at odds with one another, because so often white and light denotes good and innocent, and dark and shadowy denotes evil and malevolence. He then forces the children to descend into the dark basement. The basement is framed wide so that we can see the whole thing, and it is thickly outlined by a layer of black. The shot feels claustrophobic, as if the characters are trapped in a box with no way to escape. Similar shots that appear almost as though we were looking into the side of a dollhouse can be seen in a few other places throughout the film, including the scene in which Powell kills Willa. The basement is lit in low-key lighting, which the book Looking at Movies defines as when little or no fill light is used, causing the ratio between bright illumination and deep shadow to be very high. This lighting creates a gloomy atmosphere. The only light in the basement is coming from the kitchen in which they just came. That is the safe haven the children are looking to reach. However, Powell has placed himself on the stairs, blocking their only escape. All of this is adding to the tension the audience feels when rooting for the children to get away from Mitchum's madman. The shots of Pearl in this scene are close up. We are aware of her fragility, and the close-ups further emphasize her fear of what is happening to her brother, until she finally breaks under the pressure and tells Powell where the money is.
It's not my dough! It's not my dough!
As the children attempt to make their escape up the stairs, again being illuminated by their kitchen safe haven, we see Powell close behind in a pose that harkens back to images of Frankenstein or Nosferatu, the latter of which is a prominent German Expressionist film. Overall, this scene, in the way it uses light and shadow, as well as the composition of shots, adds tension to the action by manipulating the characters, thus manipulating the audience's interpretations of these characters, to make the audience emotionally invest into what